Adbn, a part of you. Adbn, a part of you.
This is Adbn News. The headlines. President Tinubu urges African unity against South Africa's xenophobia. Reps probe finds presidential investment accounts dormant. Federal government targets stable electricity with 729 billion naira power sector bond. On the foreign scene, Canada bans entry of recent visitors to DR Congo over Ebola. And in sports, Spain's World Cup champions return home ahead of victory parade. I am Francisca Oga. Now on the details. A representative of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has told the House of Representatives that 2 accounts opened for the Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council, PFIPC, were never activated or operated. The CBN said the accounts opened in US dollars and British pounds on the directive of the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation remained inactive because the required mandate cards and authorized signatories were never submitted. The disclosure came during the House probe into the PFIPC, with the Apex Bank confirming that both accounts carried zero balance and were never used.
To open those accounts, including segregation of duties, the department that handle receive the mandate, the mandate is different from the department that actually does the actual account opening. And those accounts, there is difference between opening them and operating them. After opening those accounts, before any agency operates any account, you must submit also through the Office of the Accountant General. We do not have any direct engagement.
President Bola Tinubu's push to establish state police has taken another legislative step as the House of Representatives begins consideration of his executive bill. The proposal, aimed at overhauling Nigeria's policing structure to address growing security challenges, is now before lawmakers. Our correspondent, Laraba Mure, reports.
The House Committee on Constitution Review has commenced detailed consideration of the executive bill on state police. The bill was transmitted by President Bola Tinubu after the House rescinded an earlier state police bill to give priority to the executive proposal. It has since passed first and second readings.
Our job is to go through this and see how we make this law a reflection of the desire of Nigerian people. I must emphasize that the state police bill remains one of the signature constitutional reform initiative of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu, who chairs the Constitution Review Committee, says members will examine the bill clause by clause before making recommendations to the House. He says the Senate has already considered and adopted the bill with amendments, which the committee will also review as both chambers work to harmonize the legislation.
Let me also bring you up to speed historically that the House and the Senate are working in tandem with each other, to make sure that this significant amendment is achieved. And I am sure that with the speed of light, when it gets back to the executive, that is going to be assented to quickly. The purpose of today's gathering is for us to consider this executive bill clause by clause and make appropriate recommendations to the House.
With the House Committee on Constitution Review considering the executive bill from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on state police, it is expected that recommendations from this committee will determine the next step of the House of Representatives. Laraba More, Adbn News.
Moving on, the Federal Capital Territory Police Command has recorded fresh successes in its fight against crime with the rescue of a kidnapped victim and the dismantling of a suspected car-snatching syndicate. FCT Commissioner of Police Ahmed Mohamed Sanusi said the command also arrested suspects accused of supplying logistics, illicit drugs and other support to kidnappers, describing the arrest as a major blow to criminal networks in the territory. Security correspondent Fumilola Adeyemi has the story.
The fight against crime in the Federal Capital Territory is gaining momentum. The latest operations by the FCT Police Command have led to the rescue of a kidnapped victim, the arrest of suspected criminals, and the recovery of arms, ammunition, and other exhibits displayed. Among those paraded were suspects alleged to have supplied food, logistics, illicit drugs, and other items to kidnappers, enabling them to carry out their operations.
Kidnapping gangs do not operate on weapons and ransom alone. Our investigations have revealed that they also rely on the steady supply of illicit drugs and other stimulants, plus logistics to sustain their criminal activities.
The command equally announced the arrest of 4 policemen for allegedly extorting the chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission and the busting of a crime-snatching syndicate who specialize in robbing commercial drivers, particularly boat and Uber drivers, of their vehicles.
Preliminary investigations revealed that the suspects operate by posing as regular passengers, booking commercial vehicles through e-ride hailing platforms before attacking the drivers, dispossessing them of their vehicles and other valuables. The suspects were arrested with 2 vehicles, an ash color Toyota RAV4 vehicle with registration number YAB240DR and a grey colored Honda Civic vehicle with registration number ABC72JP.
The Commissioner of Police said the success of the operation was made possible by intelligence from members of the public, urging residents to remain security conscious and continue to volunteer credible information.
The State Services DSS says it will appeal the life sentences handed to 2 senior Ansar terror commanders, arguing that the punishment is too lenient considering the gravity of their crimes. The DSS said the convicts changed their pleas to guilty only after security forces rescued pupils and teachers abducted in Orire, Oyo State, where the kidnappers had demanded their release and killed 2 teachers during the hostage crisis. The agency insisted that life imprisonment does not adequately reflect the severity of the offenses and vowed to seek a stiffer sentence on appeal. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, a federal high court in Abuja has struck out Senator Ned Nwoko's suit seeking to nullify the emergence of former Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as the APC candidate for the Delta North Senatorial District. Justice Mohammed Umar held that the pre-election suit was fundamentally defective because it was filed through a purported attorney rather than by Nwoko personally, ruling that such actions can only be instituted by the affected aspirant. The court ruled that the right to challenge the outcome of a party primary is a personal statutory right that cannot be exercised through an agent, effectively dismissing Nwoko's challenge to Okowa's candidacy. A federal high court in Abuja has granted bail to Jimo Olasukomi Yisawu, former managing director of Warri Refining and Petrochemical Company, in the sum of 500 million naira with one surety possessing landed property within the Federal Capital Territory. Yisawu, who faces an 8-count charge of money laundering, pleaded not guilty to all counts when they were read to him in open court, with charges alleged that he indirectly converted various sums suspected to be proceeds of unlawful activity through third parties and made cash payments exceeding statutory limits outside the financial system. The judge ordered the defendant to deposit his international passport with the court registry and not to travel abroad without prior permission. Yisawu is to remain in the custody of the prosecutors until the bail conditions are fully perfected. Justice Inyang the Federal High Court Abuja has admitted the national president of Miyetti Allah, Kautakore Bello Bodejo, to a 2 billion naira bail with one surety in the like sum. In a ruling on Bodejo's bail application, Justice Eko ordered that the surety must have a 3-year tax clearance and must reside in Abuja. Justice Eko, who also ordered that the surety must have a land worth 2 billion naira in Abuja, held that documents of the property shall be verified by the court registrar. The judge equally ordered Bodejo to drop his international passport with the registrar of the court and must not travel outside the country without the leave of the court. The judge agreed that the offenses with which the defendant was charged were bailable ones, and the court has the discretionary power to exercise this in his favor. Away from the judiciary, let's look at where a 29-year-old man has renounced his membership of a cult group and voluntarily surrendered a Beretta pistol to security authorities in Edo State following a security operation in Asian West local government area. The Edo State Security Corps said the development came after several youths were screened by police over suspicious activities, with the suspect later surrendering the firearm after an anti-cultism meeting led by Asian West Acting Chairman Blessing Ebodage. Security officials described the action as a major breakthrough in the fight against cultism, urging other cult members to embrace lawful living. The suspect, an aspiring musician, said he surrendered the weapon to prevent it from being used for crime and pledged to encourage other youths to reject cultism. In other news, motorists and pedestrians have been advised to avoid the Nnamdi Azikiwe bypass near Ungwa-Muazu in Kaduna after a compressed natural gas tanker developed a gas leak, prompting emergency response and traffic diversion. The Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency, KATSEMA, said emergency responders quickly secured the area and contained the leak, preventing a possible explosion. No deaths, injuries, or property damage were recorded, and the tanker driver escaped unharmed. Authorities have diverted traffic through Ahmadu Bello Way and Kachia Road, while emergency operations continue. Residents have been urged to stay away from the bypass until officials declare the route safe for normal use. You are watching Adbn News at 7. Stay with us for more stories after the break. You are still watching the main news broadcast reaching you live on Adbn. Nigeria has launched a national high-level sustainable aviation fuel steering committee to drive the development of cleaner aviation fuel and position the country as a leading sustainable aviation fuel producer in Africa. The initiative unveiled by the Federal Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development in collaboration with the NCAA, ICAO, European Union and EASA also featured a presentation of a national feasibility study and the launch of an ICAO-supported business implementation study to attract investment into the sector. Minister of Aviation Festus Keyamo said Nigeria's abundant agricultural feedstock, expanding refining capacity, and strategic location provide a strong foundation for a viable SAF industry that will reduce aviation emissions, create jobs, strengthen energy security, and support economic diversification. The National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, and the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, OSGF, have strengthened collaboration to drive the implementation of the NIMC Act 2026 and advance Nigeria's digital identity reforms. The partnership was reaffirmed during a working visit by NIMC Director General Engineer Abisoye Koka Odusote to the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, in Abuja. Our correspondent reports.
In furtherance of her ongoing strategic visits, DG NIMC acknowledged the pivotal role Senator George Akume plays in coordinating the implementation of government policies and in ensuring that MDAs are aligned with President Tinubu's directives.
NIMC is now the home of the digital public infrastructure. As you recall, the President set up a Presidential Committee on Digital Public Infrastructure, which you are the chairman, representing the President as the chairman of that committee.
Responding, the SGF reiterated his commitment towards the sustenance of Nigeria's digital sovereignty.
We're always reminded that data sovereignty is the engine, just not the trust, but the sovereignty. We're capable of doing these things ourselves. Don't have to go and locate something in India or in China.
At the Ministry of Health, the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare proposed to inaugurate a joint working committee to drive new use in structured health services.
We've made significant progress in expanding healthcare insurance, and we will do more because of the reforms that were approved by the President. But this work that you are doing in collaboration with Health Insurance Authority will only accelerate the pace of expansion of health insurance.
During a similar visit to the Independent National Electoral Commission's headquarters, the INEC chairman emphasized the need to leverage on NIN registration to clean up the voter register.
Deepening our collaboration, we can achieve several vital objectives, such as leveraging NIMC biometric data to continuously audit, purify, and eliminate duplicate or underage registration in the Nigerian Voters Register.
In separate remarks, heads of other MDAs visited also expressed their readiness to partner with NIMC to expand digital identity access for Nigerians and legal residents, enabling them to seamlessly benefit from government socio-economic initiatives and digital opportunities.
19 years is not a joke, but he has decided to touch all the critical sectors so that by the time he leaves office, Nigeria will be on another level to progress from there.
It's actually apt to be in Federal Ministry of Interior because this is really about us as a country, just even from numbers to planning for development and how we all coordinate.
This act is important. It's a milestone in the effort to transform Nigerian digital economy. It's particularly important because it takes consideration of modern technology reality.
These visits buttress ongoing efforts to build a secure, interoperable, and citizen-centric digital identity ecosystem across Nigeria. From the nation's capital, Bito Brian, Adbn News.
And now let's take a look at infrastructure, where the Renewed Hope National Media Tour has begun in Kogi State, with journalists inspecting key federal and state government projects. The tour focused on ongoing road construction, education, and healthcare projects, with officials highlighting the impact of government reforms. The inspection started on the Abuja-Lokoja Benin Highway. Commissioner for Works Barrister Salami Ozigi Dedat said reinforced concrete pavement is being used to improve the road's durability.
Because of the kind of the president we are having this time, giving it this attention as if it's a new construction site. If you are coming today, you will see works ongoing everywhere. By the right, by your left, you see constructions going on. So we must use this opportunity to appreciate Mr. President as usual, because what we are seeing here today is his work, and this is what he's doing all over Kogi State and by extension Nigeria. So if not because of his intervention, we'll have found it very difficult to traverse this part of the state.
Journalists also inspected key infrastructure, education and healthcare projects executed by the federal and Kogi State governments.
Just less than 6 years, we have seen a university come to life, reputed to be one of the fastest growing universities, the largest engineering unit, a population of over 6,000 students already. Investment in education is important. Under Minister of Education Alausa, we have seen a lot of innovations. We see that technical students now go to school free.
And that is to tell you the level of funding is magnificent. So we don't have problem with funding at all. And that is to tell you that the state government is receiving more funds than ever before to provide us, even us, despite the fact that there are 3 universities owned by the state government.
The team proceeded to the Confluence University of Science and Technology, OSARA, established in 2021. The institution has expanded its academic programs and infrastructure to meet the growing demand for science and technology education.
You see the equipment, they have just been brought here and they're about to be assembled inside the acquisition center and be installed so that these young ones can start benefiting within this renewed hope administration of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The inspection also took the team to the Barefoot Renewable Energy and Skills Acquisition Center on the university campus. The center is expected to equip young Nigerians with practical skills in solar technology and other renewable energy solutions while supporting the country's transition to clean energy.
This edifice we're seeing here today stands as the Confluence University of Science and Technology Teaching Hospital in Okene. As it stands, it not just have the MRI, CT scan, every other complements of the radio diagnostics, you have them here. It's also worthy to mention that the only hospital-based hyperbaric oxygen treatment chamber in the country sits in this hospital.
Officials said the projects reflect ongoing efforts to strengthen infrastructure, expand access to quality education and healthcare, and improve the well-being of residents across Kogi State. Moving on, Enugu State government has approved the distribution of free fertilizers, improved seeds and agrochemicals to 63,000 registered smallholder farmers across the state's 260 wards to boost food production and reduce farming costs. Distribution begins on Tuesday under a monitored process to ensure only verified farmers benefit. The State Executive Council also approved the recruitment of 4,698 additional teachers to strengthen the 267 Smart Green schools and support the Center for Experiential Learning and Innovation, CELI, which focuses on teacher training, innovation, and skills development. To strengthen public health preparedness, the government has ordered the immediate reactivation of all COVID-19 isolation centers following the Ebola outbreak in parts of East Africa and directed the speedy completion of hospital expansion projects, including the Enugu International Hospital, which is expected to be commissioned within weeks. Network of Peace Journalists (NPJ) has called on African governments to ban children under 16 years from accessing social media, citing rising cases of cyberbullying, online exploitation, addiction, and mental health challenges among young people. NPJ team lead Ibrahima Yakubu urged governments to introduce laws requiring social media companies to implement effective age verification systems and impose sanctions on platforms that allow underage users, noting that countries including Australia, France, Spain, and Norway have adopted or proposed similar measures. The group also called for greater investment in digital literacy, the inclusion of online safety in school curricula, and increased parental supervision and public awareness to promote responsible internet use and protect children online. More on education. Tower of Ivory Secondary School's Adbn marking the successful completion of secondary education by the class of 2026. The event took place on Saturday at the school's campus in Adbn, a back local government area of Akwa Ibom State. Our correspondent, Emmanuel Silas, reports.
The ceremony brought together parents, alumni, and other education stakeholders to honor the graduating students for their academic achievements and exemplary conduct. Speaking on the theme, Rising Above Limitations, the Journey of Discipline and Resilience, the chairman of the occasion, Dr. Osenio Latunde, represented by Dr. Basio Moore, encouraged the graduating students to pursue higher education.
To our graduating students, today marks the beginning of another phase of the journey. Continue to play, work hard, respect your parents and teachers, and always uphold integrity.
Presenting the graduating students for honors, the principal of the school, Engineer Maurice Ebong, described the graduating class as outstanding in academics, discipline, hard work, and dedication.
The boys and girls we admitted into JSS 1 some years ago are no longer the same children. They are now young men and women of character, knowledge, and discipline.
The chairman of the Board of Governors of the school, retired Deputy Inspector General of Police Udom Ekbodom, said the school has continued to distinguish itself as a center of academic excellence and advised the graduating students to remain faithful, prayerful, and focused on achieving greater heights. The Akwa Ibom State Commissioner for Education, Professor Obong Essien, alongside the chairman of the Parent Teachers Association, Dr. Cornelia Omana, commended the management of the Tower of Ivory Secondary Schools for sustaining high academic standards and contributing to the state's reputation for educational excellence.
And to them, I really thank the IBO for sustaining the vision, for giving back to society what society actually made it to be.
We want to let you know that we're very proud of your achievements and of the people you have grown to become. We have absolute confidence in your grooming, discipline, and training.
A valedictorian, Master Semedion Umo, assured the audience that the class of 2026 will remain worthy ambassadors of Tower of Ivory Secondary Schools. Emmanuel Silas, Adbn News.
In Edo State, the state has recorded a major milestone in public service as Governor Monday Okpebolo swore in the state's first visually impaired permanent secretary alongside 19 other permanent secretaries, new commissioners, and members of the Governing Council of the Edo State College of Health Sciences and Technology. The appointments, described as merit-driven and inclusive, are expected to strengthen governance, expand equal opportunities, and reinforce public confidence in the state's civil service. ADBN's correspondent Favor Osazua reports.
For years, inclusion and merit have remained central to conversations on public service reform. In Edo State, those ideals have now taken practical shape, as Governor Mando Bewolo made history by appointing and swearing in the state's first visually impaired permanent secretary, Melody Omosa, alongside 19 others who emerged successful from the rigorous selection process involving about 250 candidates. The governor said the appointments reflected competence, transparency, and excellence, while reaffirming his administration's commitment to inclusive governance.
Today is a special day for those people that reach their height in civil service. About 250 were called for these exams without interference. I met with 25, but 20 of them made it. I want to congratulate you. And by the time I was looking at my phone at about 3 a.m., I saw head of service sending me a message congratulating me. And I same time congratulating Edo people.
The ceremony also featured the swearing-in of 2 commissioners, including Martin Oli, the first non-indigene to serve in Governor Bewolo's cabinet. Speaking on behalf of the newly sworn-in permanent secretaries, Melody Omosa described the appointment as both a personal milestone and a call to greater service, pledging that the appointees would work diligently to advance the policies and development agenda of the Bewolo administration.
Your Excellency, on behalf of the permanent secretaries which you have just inaugurated, we want to express our profound appreciation for finding us worthy. It is one thing for us to have excelled at the exam we wrote, and it's another thing for your Excellency to approve our appointment owing to due process.
Beyond the appointments, the ceremony underscored Edo State government's commitment to merit, inclusion, and equal opportunity. In Edo State, Favor Osazua, Adbn News.
We are still on to the main news broadcast on ADBN. The federal government is set to issue a 729 billion naira bond to electricity generation companies to clear verified legacy debts and improve liquidity in Nigeria's power sector. The bond will complete the 1.23 trillion naira first phase of the presidential power sector debt reduction program, following the successful issuance of a 501 billion naira bond in January 2026 under the wider 4 trillion initiative. The Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading PLC, NBET, said the program will restore investor confidence, strengthen the electricity value chain, and support more reliable power supply across the country. Nigeria's average daily petrol imports surged by 207% to 18.1 million litres in June, up from 5.9 million litres recorded in May, according to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA. The regulator said total petrol supply increased to 50.6 million litres per day, while the domestic supply fell to 32.5 million litres daily, with the Dangote refinery remaining the country's sole local supplier of petrol. The NMDPRA added that petrol consumption rose to 47.4 million litres per day in June, while the Port Harcourt, Warri, and Kaduna refineries remained short despite increased crude oil deliveries to domestic refineries. Moving on, Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has resumed enforcement of its regulations governing digital and online lenders following a federal high court judgment affirming their legality. The court dismissed a suit challenging the regulations and ruled that the FCCPC acted within its statutory powers, lifting the interim order that had suspended enforcement since April 2026. The Commission said the regulations are designed to promote responsible digital lending, curb exploitative practices, and strengthen consumer protection across Nigeria's online lending sector. In another development, the market closed higher on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, with the All-Share Index gaining 2,721.83 points, or 1.12%, to close at 246,183.96. Market capitalization rose by 1.76 trillion naira to 158.81 trillion naira, while market breadth remained positive, with 36 gainers, 32 losers, and 78 unchanged stocks. Investors traded 851.56 million shares worth 49.55 billion naira in 56,787 deals, reflecting strong buying interest across the market. On the gainers chart, Custodian Investment PLC and NEM Insurance PLC each gained 10% to close at 75.90 naira and 22 naira respectively. Boa Cement PLC followed with a 9.98% rise to 303 naira 10 kobo. Sunu Assurances Nigeria PLC led the losers list, shedding minus 10% to close at 3 naira 60 kobo, followed by Triple G and Company PLC with minus 9.77% to 3 naira 51 kobo, while ABC Transport PLC declined minus 9.62% to close at 7 naira 5 kobo. First Holdco emerged as the most actively traded stock by volume, with 203 naira 94 million shares exchanged. You are watching Adbn News at 7. Stay with us for more stories from the foreign and the sports decks after the break. Thanks for staying with us. Canada has imposed a temporary travel ban on foreign nationals who have been in the Democratic Republic of Congo within the past 21 days as part of efforts to prevent the spread of Ebola. The restriction, which took effect on July 20, comes despite Canada's Public Health Agency assessing the risk to Canadians as low. The World Health Organization continues to advise against travel bans, warning they could increase stigma and hinder outbreak response. The Democratic Republic of Congo has recorded more than 2,100 Ebola cases and over 800 deaths. Similar restrictions have also been introduced by the United States, while European health authorities have opposed such measures. Away from that, the United States has launched another wave of airstrikes on military targets in Iran, with President Donald Trump saying the attacks were carried out in response to the recent killing of American troops in the Middle East. The strikes, now in their 9th consecutive night, targeted Iranian military facilities and communication networks allegedly linked to attacks on vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran said it retaliated by striking U.S. military assets in Jordan and launching a surprise attack in Syria. As tensions continue to escalate, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Washington remains open to diplomacy while urging the international community to prevent Iran from disrupting the Strait of Hormuz. Moving to Russia, where at least 10 people have been killed after a Russian missile strike hit a cargo ship in the Black Sea near Ukraine's port city of Odessa. Ukrainian authorities said a Guinea-Bissau flagged vessel caught fire after being struck by cruise missiles, killing 9 crew members and 1 harbor pilot in the deadliest attack on a merchant ship since Russia intensified strikes on Black Sea shipping. Ukraine said the attack was aimed at disrupting its vital maritime export corridor as fighting between both countries continues, with civilian casualties reported on both sides. The final whistle has blown on another FIFA World Cup, ending weeks of unforgettable goals, dramatic upsets, and moments that captivated football fans around the world. But beyond the celebrations, questions remained over officiating, the use of technology, and whether African football is moving closer to breaking football's biggest barrier. Our correspondent spoke with sports journalists in Abuja and now reports.
Every World Cup leaves behind more than a champion. It leaves debates, moments supporters replay for years, and questions that shape the future of the game. This tournament was no different. Spain lifted the trophy after edging Argentina 1-0 in an intense final that stretched into extra time, bringing an end to a month of football that produced surprises, emerging stars, and familiar heartbreaks.
This is what we expected. The World Cup was very exciting. We saw several matches, we saw several shocks. There are a lot of interesting matches, a lot of matches that got you up to your feet. Mexico versus England at the Azteca. We saw Argentina, Egypt, Argentina. Most of the Argentina games were very interesting.
It was quite fascinating, quite interesting. The highest number of goals have been scored in this particular World Cup. The defending champions, Copa American champions, facing European champions. You know, Argentina trying to win the World Cup back to back. It has never happened since the past 64 years. Spain, European champions. So it's more like the two very best teams from their own continent trying to win the title. But it was one of the most one-sided final you could ever see.
Attention has turned to the decisions that influenced matches, from contentious penalty to lengthy VAR reviews and inconsistent refereeing. Officiating has once again become one of football's biggest talking points.
They really need to improve on officiating games. Some of the penalties were not given, some of the yellow cards were not given, and some of the penalties that were called for, they were too harsh, which was not supposed to be so. But kudos to all of them, they all did well.
For Africa, the tournament offered reasons for both optimism and reflection. The continent once again demonstrated its growing competitiveness, with several teams matching football's traditional powers for long periods. But turning promise into history remains an unfinished task. The elusive place in a World Cup final, and ultimately, a World Cup title, continues to be one of African football's greatest ambitions.
Morocco has set the standard. They got to the semi-finals the last World Cup. This time they fell short, and of course they lost a very good French side. So if Africa can get better, get to the final, possibly next World Cup, then possibly FIFA can increase the number of African countries that will feature in the next World Cup.
Another World Cup has come to an end. The goals will fill highlight reels. The champions will celebrate, and records will be remembered. But for many football followers, the conversations that endure are often the ones that happen after the final whistle, about fairness, progress, and whether the next tournament will bring Africa one step closer to football's ultimate prize.
Meanwhile, Spain's newly crowned world champions arrived home in Madrid on Monday to a hero's welcome with around 1 million supporters expected to celebrate their FIFA World Cup triumph. Captain Rodri proudly held the World Cup trophy aloft as the squad disembarked from the Iberia flight that brought them back from the United States after securing Spain's second world title. Spain defeated Argentina 1-0 after extra time in Sundays. The victorious squad will first be received by King Felipe V at Zarzuela Palace before meeting Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez at the Moncloa Palace. The celebrations will continue with an open-top bus parade through the streets of Madrid, culminating at Cibel Square, the traditional venue for Spanish football celebrations. Around 1 million supporters are expected to line the parade route with enhanced security and transport arrangements put in place to accommodate the huge crowds. Still in sports, Italian Football Federation has reportedly stepped up its search for a new national team manager by holding talks with Pep Guardiola. According to reports in Italy, the Federation's new technical director, Paolo Maldini, accompanied by advisor Leonardo, traveled to Barcelona to meet the former Manchester City manager. Four are also reported to be under consideration. Guardiola is a free agent for the first time in a decade after ending his 10-year spell with Manchester City, during which he won 20 trophies and recorded a remarkable 70.8% win rate. Italy have failed to qualify for the last three major international tournaments since winning the UEFA European Championship in 2021 under Roberto Mancini. A 13-year-old boy has died after part of a fountain collapsed during celebration for Spain's FIFA World Cup victory in Ciudad Rodrigo, Salamanca province. The incident happened shortly after midnight when several youths climbed onto the Arbol Gordo fountain following Spain's 1-0 win over Argentina. Two others were injured, including one who suffered a suspected broken leg. Local authorities described the incident as a tragedy, extended condolences to the victim's family, and said investigations into the collapse are ongoing. Former England captain and manager Kevin Keegan has died at the age of 75, 7 weeks after revealing he had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. His family announced the death of one of English football's greatest figures on Monday, whose influence on the game spanned both an outstanding playing career and a successful spell in management. Keegan made almost 750 club appearances, won 3 First Division titles with Liverpool, and claimed the prestigious Ballon d'Or in consecutive years in 1978 and 1979 while playing for Hamburg. He later managed Newcastle United, Fulham, the England national football team, and Manchester City. Canadian rapper Drake has lost a $1.5 million bet after Spain defeated Argentina 1-0 in the 2026 FIFA World Cup final. Drake had backed Argentina to win, with a successful wager expected to earn him more than $5.1 million, but Spain's extra-time winner ended his chances. The loss has reignited talk of the so-called Drake curse, a popular online theory that teams and athletes publicly backed by the rapper often go on to lose. And with that, we've come to the end of this evening's news broadcast on ADBN. Remember to watch us live on DSTV, channel 258, on Star Times, channel 140, Avo TV app, Limex World TV app, and Niger TV app. For more stories, visit our website at www.adbntv.com. You can also watch us live from every part of the world by logging on to www.adbntv.com/live. I am Francisca Orga. Good evening.
Adbn, a part of you.
Recall that the nationwide CVR exercise commenced on 18th August 2025 and was originally scheduled to conclude on 10th July 2026. But INEC has now approved a 2-week extension of the exercise in order to provide additional opportunity for eligible citizens who are yet to register. The Commission has extended the exercise to Sunday, 26th July 2026.